Going to your fever season, looking at the offensive side of the ball, what is it like playing off of Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston?
I mean, they make my job really easy, right? It's awesome. And it's really cool to see all of them just grow, not only from this year, but playing 3 years with Kelsey, 2 years with Aaliyah. Um, they're so impressive. And I think it's really fun because they garner so much attention, obviously, from the other team's defense. So then it allows the other players, me included, to make cuts, make reads, and they're really good at finding, those openings and giving the ball up when it's needed and finding the better shot. So it's really fun, and I feel really lucky to get to play with them.
Well, I do have one question because I'm sure we're going to talk about the shooting, and the shooting was fantastic last year. But you mentioned the cutting. How has that kind of developed for you, obviously, throughout college and the W, as far as knowing when to cut, how to punish defenses that way?
Yeah, I think it's like there's a bit of like holding back that needs to happen, but then also like knowing when to go. And definitely in college, there were times where I cut too much. I think that's like part of my game that had to be reeled back because I would cut and it's like that you just took away the lane for someone else. But like it was open. Well, so like I definitely learned when to space, when to like spread the floor out, but then also it's fun when the defense is stopped staring at the ball. That's a perfect opportunity to back cut because they will know that you're going down to the basket. So it's just fun for me to get to read and really just read and react. I think that's really all cutting is.
I think bouncing off of the filling space portion of the program, I think something that pops with watching the Fever as a whole, but watching Caitlin when she's out there, just the passes that she is willing to try and some of the tight windows that she'll toss out there, obviously the transition outlets and stuff. How much of an adjustment was it for you to play off of someone that passes like that?
I mean, I definitely got passes and tried to finish when I wasn't expecting to get the ball. So like now it's like, okay, every cut I have, every cut I make, every fast break I run, like I have a real opportunity to get the ball, which definitely like took me a second. And I think it really just took one of those to really get my head around like, oh, she's all the way down at the other end of the floor and she could still make the pass to me down at the block at this end. So, I mean, it's been awesome. And I think it's so fun to be able to know that you're not just cutting to cut, knowing that you're cutting with the possibility of like actually making a really cool play. So that makes it that much more worthwhile.
I think circling back to the balance that you were talking about and you saying that you cut too often sometimes, like, is it tougher in a way to kind of find that balance when you are playing with someone like Caitlin? Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't cut here, but she can actually make this pass anyway.
Yeah, it is. Cause it's like everyone sees the game a little differently, right? So like I might see the cut and I might think she sees the cut, but also the post could be seeing that lane and trying to post up. So it's like trying to make sure that all 5 people on the court are reading the defense the same way so that we're all in sync. I think that obviously takes time and that takes like building chemistry together. So it's fun. It's a fun part of the game because you're never really finished learning or finished growing together because there's always room to get closer.
All right, now going to the shooting, as Steve and I both talked about how amazing the shooting was for you, particularly post-Olympic break. Was there a jumper tweak? Was there just a level of comfort that you found? What would you attribute that kind of stretch to?
I mean, it was like clicking after the break. And I think a lot of it is mental. I didn't change anything about my shot. I didn't change the amount of shots I was getting in practice. I mean, like all of that preparation stuff stayed the same. I think one thing that our coaches did during that break, I mean, we had a full month of practice pretty much during the Olympic break, and they would put up every day after practice our shooting percentages from 2s and 3s during drills, during scrimmages, during everything. And I think that helped me because, some people would probably like, it's so annoying, whatever. But I personally liked it because in my head, when I'd leave practice, I was like thinking about the 5 shots that I missed or the 10 shots that I missed and not thinking about that, oh, maybe I did have a good shooting day. And I would look at those percentages the next day and realize I'm shooting like 60 to 70% in practice. I'm like, that's better than in my head I had imagined. So it gave me confidence that I was performing better than I think I was perceiving my performance. So I think it all comes down to like the mental side, at least for me in that second half.
Got you. I think actually bouncing off of that, like, how do you take in numbers as a basketball player? Because it feels like there's too strong competing rules of thought with analytics and stuff like that. So is that something that you just generally embrace?
Yeah, I mean, like numbers don't lie, unfortunately, and they're very drastic. My first 2 years, I was just so upset because I was putting in so much work, and my shooting percentages, I would granted get like one or two at the max threes a game. So it's hard to be super efficient when the pressure is really on for those couple shots.
Mhm.
But the numbers don't lie. So it really allows you to look at improvements and really shoot for goals and keep yourself like accountable. And I really like that part of it. But also, I mean, outside of shooting percentages, some numbers don't necessarily dictate, your impact on the floor. So I like numbers and I appreciate them. But also I think basketball is a game of real effort and skill. And sometimes numbers don't show everything.
Oh, it makes all the sense in the world.
It's facts
Steve,
right there. It's facts right there. I hope that soaks in, Nekias. No numbers don't tell the entire story. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had something in my throat.
Wow. Okay, welcome to the Shade Spot with guys. Steve Jones Jr. Very cool, very cool. But no, zooming back out, while we're talking about just general off-ball play, I'll toss a quick number out there for you, but you were one of the best players in the league last season in terms of attacking closeouts and attacking tilted defenses. I guess for you, how do you strike that balance between having a tilted defense and let me take this shot from the corner, take this shot from the wing, versus let me attack and get downhill, find my own, or let me keep things moving, let's make an extra pass, let's keep them even more in rotation?
I think it's finding the best shot, and good shots will be there. But there's a lot of times better shots, and finding an open shot's the best shot. So for me, I felt like if I was open, and a good chunk of the time I was, because defensives collapsed on Kelsey and Caitlin and Aaliyah. But when they recover, and I feel like they're recovering, that's when it's a good opportunity to drive and kick and make the extra pass, because defenses are so hard. It's really hard to guard a team that's drive, kick, because you're at a disadvantage basically the whole time. So then just until you find the best shot, that's, I feel like, the right time to take it. So sometimes it was me taking the best shot, and other times it was the next pass or the pass after that. So just trying to read it.
Okay, makes sense.
How do you, and I guess this is more just for people listening, because I think sometimes when you watch the game, you see, hey, they had a shot there. And so you mentioned the differences as far as when to attack, when to not. It's hard when you're out there and you're just kind of playing. You get the kick, you know the shot is there, but hey, I know if I can beat this closeout, I'm going to get someone else's shot. How has that kind of grown for you over the last couple of years for you to know, okay, I have the confidence not just to take the shot, but I also have the confidence to get this drive and make something better for my team?
Yeah, I think for me, sometimes it's like feeling the flow of the game. If Kelsey's hit 6 threes, and I can see she's to the right of me, and if I drive, she has a good open look, then we're going to feed the hot hand. And sometimes if I'm feeling good and I've hit a couple threes in the game and that closeout's a little tighter, but I'm feeling good, that might be the best shot. So it's just figuring out, who has the hot hand in the moment, and then reading the defense after that.